And the Dave Monk programme. Now, the Christmas No.1 race is normally just hot stuff, isn't it? And it seemed like this year would be the same. Sales of the Lewisham and Greenwich NHS Choir's single A Bridge Over You is currently just over 600 sales behind pop singer Justin Bieber's Love Yourself. So I thought we could compare the two. Yeah? Should we have a bit of Bieber first?
'Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself.
Thank you, Justine. And now the NHS Choir. But there's a big but here, because the race may actually be over, because Justin Bieber has tweeted to say that he actually wants the rival, the NHS Choir. He wants them to win the Christmas No.1. So Justin Bieber is now saying, buy the NHS Choir one. Don't buy mine, buy the NHS Choir. And so I've no doubt that his fans will go out in their droves, because he's got millions of fans around the world, and probably buy it. Well, let's speak to a man who knows quite a lot about festive charts. He spearheaded the successful campaign to get Rage Against the Machine to No.1 in 2009, ahead of the X Factor winner Joe McElderry. He is social media guru Jon Morter. Hello, John.
Good evening, Dave.
What do you make of what Justin Bieber's just done?
I think that's a lovely gesture. I think that obviously Justin's had a massive amount of success already, and I think he's been very gracious about it, and good on him.
And tell me about your campaigns, because did this happen to you?
Well, bizarrely, yeah. I mean, obviously, as you've already mentioned, I sort of ran the Rage Against the Machine campaign back in 2009, which was successful. But I also ran the online campaign for the Justice Collective, which was the Hillsborough charity single, if you remember that, in 2012.
Yeah.
We had a similar situation where the X Factor winner, James Arthur, that year, had actually tweeted to say, no, let's try and get the Hillsborough single to No.1. And so he did something very similar, and thankfully for us, it worked. And we eventually did get No.1. But strangely enough, what I will say is that when James Arthur did say that, his record started selling a lot more that day.
Really?
So it put us on the edge of our seats, I have to say. It was quite close.
And just remind me why you wanted to get ahead of the X Factor, because you'd had enough of it, really, hadn't you?
Well, with Rage Against the Machine, yeah, that was the idea of that, was that they'd had the previous 4 Christmas No.1s, and I was getting bored of that. I just thought, I've had enough of this. Why is no one doing anything about it? So that's why I came up with the idea to think, well, hey, look, we can all have a No.1. Let's do this, and it worked. And so that was really the reason why we did that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny old year this year, though, isn't it? Because, people thought the X Factor was going to do it again, and it really doesn't seem to have done so.
No, there's nothing to rage against, is there?
No, so it's a real shame, because this is an Essex one that we really wanted to get to No.1.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of the X Factor at all this year, and the guy who finished third, Che, I believe he was called, sings at my local pub sometimes, so it was a very unusual year. But the X Factor single was released because of the new chart rules. The X Factor single was actually released halfway through the chart week, which didn't do themselves any favours at all. And it's been apparently a very sort of a weak-selling single this year. So very strange.
Your first attempt was 2008, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rick Astley?
It was indeed. Yeah, I thought it would be quite fun and quirky to see if we could get Rick Astley to Christmas #1 using this newfangled social media thing. And actually, do you know what? We actually did quite well. But there was a bit of controversy with it, and it was put to number 73. So I can't say too much about that because I don't want to get people in trouble. But it did actually do better than people thought.
Yeah, you don't want to get me in trouble.
I
John.
can't get you in trouble, Dave.
Yeah. John, look, how about next year? How about you and I getting together and doing something for next year? I think my singing debut is fast approaching, don't you?
Well, hey, why don't we do an Essex choir? Why don't we bring all the great things about Essex together, and we'll do a song about it for charity?
If you're serious, I'm serious. Should we do it?
Yeah, I'm totally up for that. Yeah, that's an off-the-cuff idea. Why not?
Yeah, well, let's do it. Thank you very much indeed. I shall be in touch. Back to the old times, 2008. We tried to get this to #1, didn't work, but could ours get to #1 next year? You notice he ignored me singing and went to choir.
We're no strangers to love.
Rick Astley are Never Gonna Give You Up. I tell you what, we're getting very, very excited here because John is up for it and we're up for it. And wouldn't that be fantastic if we could get ourselves a Christmas #1 next year? You think I'm joking, don't you? Oh, no, I'm not.
This is BBC Essex.
BBC Essex.
I don't joke about things like this. Let's get some news headlines now on BBC Essex from Nick Alliker.
Good evening. Essex Police say they're concerned for the welfare.
Christmas #1 next year. Have you got any suggestions? You think of Christmas songs that are really old that we wouldn't have to pay anybody for. Well, it's better than actually making one up, isn't it? That nobody knows. It would stand more of a chance to get to the Christmas #1 if it was something that people had heard before, and we can just do a new arrangement of it. It can all be for charity, and we can all take part. In fact, you could take part in it. We could get a big choir together if you can sing. Well, even if you can't sing, I know some choirs with people who can't sing at all. But they still have a good time. So, can you suggest a song? This is probably a good one for text. Can you think of any Christmas songs from way back that we could nick and sing? 81333, start with the word Essex. Any suggestions? Because my mind is completely blank at the moment, as it usually is at about this time. Can you suggest any songs? Good. Okay. David in Tillingham. Hello, David, who's just texted me to say, we ventured into Malden to pick up our goose.